VMC. Digital economy, communication, technology, customer community, network, social media. VMC, the Vashalari Media Channel.
This is primarily just a really casual Q&A with our conference organizers from the US and Tim. Everyone wanted to have a moment with you. This is an invite-only event, but there are several of you who we're happy to have. But if you could just refrain and let some other folks ask questions first if you weren't on the original list, that'd be great. And if we have extra time, this is a 45-minute session or 50-minute session. So yeah, that's it. So if you want to do introductions, Jen Brady, Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim O'Reilly. I'm the founder and CEO of O'Reilly Media. I'm widely credited with the Web 2.0 name, but actually it was Dale Doherty, who works with us actually now on Make Magazine, who came up with the name. I came up with the ideas, but I was calling it different things. In 1997, I was calling it InfoWare. In 2001, I was calling it the Internet Operating System. It wasn't until Dale came up with the name Web 2.0 in 2004 that the name stuck, the idea stuck. It just goes to show that sometimes you can work on something for a long time before people catch on to the idea.
I'm Jennifer Polka. I'm with TechWeb. I'm the co-chair for the event with Brady. I work primarily on the design, user experience, and marketing tracks. So Brady and I together do all of the Web 2.0 branded programs except Summit, which John does. So happy to entertain any questions you have.
And I'm Brady Forrest with O'Reilly. I live in Seattle, and I handle the development and fundamentals tracks in business. I also chair two other conferences, Where 2.0, which focus on geo and location aware applications, and eTech, which this year is focusing on city tech.
Who wants to start?
On city tech? So how technology is changing our cities and ways of living.
I'd like to open it up to questions.
I have a question. Now the TechCrunch says that Web 2.0 can rest in peace. Are you planning to change the name of the conference next year, or anyway, what's your take on this?
I know people have been saying that for a long time. And I will say this: if you look at the origins of the name, everybody took it to be a version number. It is not a version number. The reason we came up with the idea, it was actually in 2003. It was in the depths of the dot-com bust. Everybody was saying the web is over, right? And we said, no, the web is going to come back. And that was what we were trying to make the statement with the Web 2.0 conference. The web is back. So the only thing that will make us have a Web 3.0 is not a new technology. It's, okay, if everybody stops believing in the web again, and then we have to say, hey guys, pay attention, it's still here. Because it is still here. Fact is, there have been a lot of silly startups that have wrapped themselves in the mantle of Web 2.0. That didn't make them any less silly, and it didn't make Web 2.0 any less real. Web 2.0 is the shift to the network as the platform, and that is not changing. That is not going away. It's accelerating. It's getting bigger. It's getting more important. The network is penetrating more and more of our culture, more and more of our lives. It's changing in that it's moving from a network that's dominated by, what we used to call computers to a network that's going to be dominated by mobile devices. And that's why you see, for example, Google with Android bidding on the Spectrum auction, doing all these things because they know that, the phone has got to become, part of the internet. But that's just the beginning of it. You look at and this is maybe a long answer to a short question. Tell me to shut up if I'm going on too long. But, I've said that Web 2.0 is really about building applications for collective intelligence. That's what distinguishes the network as platform. Because it's not just, when you get a new platform, it's not just that you get the old kind of applications on this new platform. When we moved from the mainframe to the personal computer, it wasn't that you got mainframe apps on personal computers, although the first ones did look a lot like mainframe apps. You got a new class of applications. You got personal productivity applications. You got office productivity applications. And now on the web, once you got to the internet as platform, you got the applications that could only exist on a network platform. And that's what really distinguishes Web 2.0. It's really the idea that certain things get better the more people use them, the more people are connected. And now this next phase, as we get into, say, mobile device that's always reporting their location, well, what kind of applications does that enable? Think about also, a lot of, I'm going to back up a little bit. A lot of the way I think is by watching what hackers and alpha geeks are doing, and then thinking about what this is going to mean later when everybody's doing it. And what the hackers are doing right now is playing with sensors. I made fun in my keynote the other day of the iPlant application, but it's a clever application of a sensor that's in the phone. But there are others. There's something called the Quake Catcher Network, where somebody's built a SETI-at-home-like application to detect earthquakes using the motion sensors in laptops. There's Botanicals, where Katie London hacked up this cool project where her plants call her via the Astra server that's connected via the Arduino board to the moisture sensor in the plant. And they say, hey, I need watering, right? So that's a hacker thing, but it's also a foretaste of what's to come. Photosynth, Microsoft Photosynth, building 3D images out of photos. Well, what does that mean? It means that every time you take a photo and you upload it somewhere, to Flickr or whatever, you're actually being one more of the eyes of the global brain that we're building somewhere back there. And there are going to be new applications that take advantage of all that data. There's another, one of those sort of like data points that tell us about the shape of the future. A startup funded by Kleiner Perkins called IMMI, Internet Measurements and Metrics. Right? It's trying to compete with Nielsen to measure television advertising. But what they do, they give their panelists a special cell phone. It wakes up every 30 seconds, listens for 5 seconds, and says, do I hear a commercial? Right? All of a sudden, an application that has ears. What's going to happen as we get these mobile devices, increasingly being part of our lives, it drives our social networks, because our phone actually knows our social network way better than a Facebook. They're going to drive our location-based applications. And they're going to eventually drive applications like, 3D modeling. Another fascinating data point, from the future, talking with Carl Bass, the CEO of Autodesk, and he said, our workflow in Autodesk used to be that somebody sat down and designed something. Now, they sit down and they take a bunch of pictures, and they get a 3D model that they start with. And, so it's sort of people are sampling the world. And all this is going to be, the mobile revolution isn't just about having web applications on phones. The mobile revolution is about, once the mobile device is part of this global network and collective intelligence applications, what new kinds of things are going to be possible? And boy, they're going to blow us away. So Web 2.0 is not over. It may morph into something even more rich and strange, but it's not going to be over.
Just in terms of how it relates to the event itself, I think there's a tendency to see Web 2.0 as either, if you're very much on the cutting edge, to see it as a little bit corporate, and if you're sort of maybe in the media and looking at Web 2.0 as a meme that's gone very high, very fast, very quickly, the tendency to say, okay, well, let's watch it crash. The event has always been, since we launched the Expo brand in 2007, about 2/3 of the attendees are from companies of 500 people or more. So it's not an event that's just about startups, and it's not an event that's just about enterprise. It's an event that's about the sort of fertile connections between the two. So, we have the benefit of being able to look pretty far into the future and watch where the trend is going. We also have the benefit of being able to bring in people who are using these concepts in business in a way that isn't maybe quite as out there in terms of things like sensors, but bringing in a really real-world perspective.
But I want to bring in, when you say business is not as out there as the world of sensors, it actually, in a lot of ways, even the world of business is in fact on this same trend line.
Right.
I've been making this argument lately that a lot of people, when they think about Web 2.0 in the enterprise, they think about a big company having a blog or a wiki. And I think about Walmart. Walmart is a lot like Google. They're an organization that is infused with IT. When you click on a link in Google, Google learns. Google does something different. When you take a product off the shelf at Walmart and check it out, Walmart does something about it. They learn. It's a live IT organization. And that to me is the heart of Web 2.0 for the enterprise, is how do you take all that corporate data, all that user-contributed data, because a purchase, for example, at a retailer is user-contributed data, and how do you take that and make it more alive, and take IT out of the back office and build it into your organization so it becomes more responsive. And I think that the lessons of Web 2.0 for the enterprise are going to become very, very important, especially in lean times. And we already see this, again, in this idea of the early adopters and the hackers showing us the shape of the future. You look at a company like Threadless.com, T-shirt manufacturing company, but they use, Web 2.0 dig-like functionality, a huge community of users who design T-shirts, other users vote on them, and when enough people say, oh, that one's really, really cool, Threadless makes them. And they've sold out of every product they've ever produced. Now, you don't think that's a lesson for business? About how we, right, how we can harness, the wisdom of crowds and collective intelligence and user, participation, right into something and remake, a very old school business.